Welcome back to XboxCorner, my name's Luke, and today I'm bringing you a bit of a guide for Vampire Survivors to explain a few key mechanics and give you a few tips to get you started. Part of the enjoyment of the game is working things out for yourself, so I'm going to avoid spoiling any of the tasty stuff, but the game doesn't have any kind of tutorial, so the things I'm going to mention are hopefully going to help you out in that regard. So let's kick things off with the characters then, and you're going to get to start with either Antonio, who's equipped with the whip, or Imelda, who has the magic wand, and of the two I'd say that Antonio is easier as the whip can hit multiple opponents, and his passive gives him additional might, which means additional damage. Vampire Survivors is all about experimenting though, so give each character a go as you unlock them. But if you're really struggling, Poe is a pretty strong contender for the easiest character, as although he has low health, he also begins the game with the garlic weapon, which emits a damaging aura around you and is able to instantly kill many of the smaller enemies in the first few minutes, and it also destroys any incoming projectiles. You can unlock Poe after upgrading the garlic to level 7 in any run, and as a bonus he also gets 25% magna, which brings us on to our next tip: grab the magna or attract orb to give it its proper name early on in every run. This is a passive item which will attract experience gems and other items towards you, with its radius increasing as you level it up. And not only will this allow you to net experience at a faster rate due to you not having to spend time walking over to them, it'll also allow you to stay out of the range of enemies whilst doing so it effectively provides a defensive measure as well as being a really great utility item. And you can also couple this with a crown to gain additional XP if you're still struggling to gain those levels. Now in terms of starter weapons, aside from the garlic, I'd say that the magic wand is probably one of the most effective and easiest to use, at least in the early game, as it automatically targets and fires towards the closest enemy, and it synergizes great with the empty tome, which drastically increases its fire rate and just so happens to be its evolution item, though like the garlic I feel it does fall off a bit towards the end game. For more of a defensive approach, the King's Bible offers some great protection so long as the enemies don't manage to creep inside it, and weapons like the axe and fire wand put out some great damage, though the axes get thrown out above you which can be hard to aim, while the fire wand has quite a slow rate of fire. In the end though, have fun and experiment with the weapons to see what you enjoy using, and don't get too out up on creating the perfect build to start with. Now almost every weapon in the game comes with an evolved version, and to evolve items you need to be carrying both the weapon itself as well as its associated passive item. For instance, the magic wand requires the empty tome, while the whip requires the hollow heart. Once you've snagged both items, you'll then need to completely level them up and then open a chest for a chance to obtain the revolution. And while the wiki says that they need to be maxed out, I've actually received evolutions before doing this. But the chests themselves drop from the mini-boss enemies, which usually appear at the minute point every 1 to 2 minutes on the in-game timer, and these can be identified as being larger than your standard enemies or as bats with glowing blue outlines. Now Vampire Survivors contains 5 main stages and a bunch of bonus ones, each with their own layouts and features, but these stage layouts should also be considered when selecting which weapons to run with, as some are completely open whilst others like the library or Gallo Tower scroll vertically or horizontally, and weapons like the whip are more effective on the horizontal plane while the axe works better vertically. The second stage, Inlaid Library though, is by far the easiest level in my opinion. It has plenty of light sources for you to grab food and other power-ups from, and enemies appear in a straight line to either side of you, making them predictable. The main thing to watch out for in this level though are the rogue spirits known as shade bombs, which appear every so often and try and explode on you, dealing massive damage, but this is a great level to grind some gold and unlocks on. Within each stage though, you'll also find hidden relics required to unlock new game features, and these can be located by following the on-screen arrows. But your first port of call should definitely be the third stage, the Dairy Plant, where you can obtain the Milky Way map, which allows you to access a map from the pause menu, making the rest of the relics much easier to locate. So as you take part in runs, you'll be earning gold by opening chests or collecting gold bags off the floor, and this gold can then be spent to unlock characters, but it can also be used to level up your passive stats, which affect every character. These include things like increases to your damage, max health and movement speed, and I'd say max health is definitely a priority as it'll allow you to tank a few hits, but a mount is also a great one, as is cooldown. Luck really helps as it not only gives you a chance of getting a fourth option in chests, it also increases your crit rate, amount of pickups, and the chance that the existing items you hold will appear as options when you level up. In the beginning though, I'd definitely reserve a portion of your income for these upgrades rather than unlocking as many characters as possible. Finally, when you unlock Mortasio, he's the skeleton dude who throws bones, complete a run and get him to level 80 to unlock your first reroll power up, as it grants you 2 chances to reroll level up items, allowing you to fill out your build much easier. Achievements are the next thing we need to talk about, as they're not just for bragging rights, they're actually the game's main form of progression, and from the main menu navigate to the unlocks menu where you'll find a long list of achievements to complete. Each of these comes with its own rewards, such as new weapon unlocks allowing you to find them as drops in game, new characters, additional game modes and an assortment of other goodies, and here you'll find hints on how to unlock them all, which usually requires you to survive for a set amount of time, level up characters and weapons by a certain amount, beat specific bosses or find hidden secrets in levels. So to finish off, here are a few final pointers which will definitely help you out. Now if you want some more in-depth guidance on the game, I recommend checking out the Vampire Survivors wiki at fandom.com. Here you can find info on everything about the game, including all of the characters, levels and items, but the most useful thing is the weapon evolution table, and I'll have that linked down in the description box below for you. Aside from that though, here are a few final tips to see out the video with. First off, I'd say avoid the pentagram weapon early on, as this one triggers at set intervals and wipes out everything on screen, which at lower levels includes all items and experience crystals, and it can be a real pain to be fighting a boss for a chest and then have it deleted. This weapon will however help you with defeating some of the nasty reapers you face later on in the game. Next, pay attention to your character's starter stats and passives and try and build around them. Characters like Demario and Christine are much harder to play due to slow movement speeds or low health, while Arca gets additional weapon cooldown which stacks with the empty tome. Curse is also a mechanic in the game which can make things much harder as it increases enemies' speed, health and quantity. The character Llama gains Curse alongside his stat buffs with his passive, and extra Curse can be gained through stat power-ups, so if you're suddenly having a tough time with the game, be sure to check that you haven't ploughed a bunch of points into it. One of the best defensive power-ups is the Santa Water, which creates patches of holy water on the ground which can offer safe spots to stand on, and its evolved version, the Labora, is easily one of the most powerful items in the game. The Clock Lancer, whilst not dealing any damage to enemies, is able to freeze them, allowing you to walk through them without taking any damage, and this can really make a huge difference in the end game, giving you escape routes when you get surrounded. Finally, don't underestimate the Luck Star. Not only does this increase your crit chance and other stuff that I mentioned, it also gives you a chance to gain multiple items from treasure chests, and this stat can be increased through stat power-ups as well as the Clover passive item, which is also required to evolve the cross weapon. And so that about does it for this quick start guide to Vampire Survivors. Hopefully you found some of the info in it of use. It's not really aimed at veteran players, but if you're just starting out it should hopefully give you a fighting chance. And if it did, be sure to drop a like, subscribe for more Xbox content including weekly deals, reviews and Game Pass content, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks everyone, take care.